WW7 UHK. N7KC.
Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. It's a crossband repeater. It spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a Pacific tone of 103.5 for this net. Again, repeating that tone, 103.5 for this net. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That'll take you to our homepage on the internet. There you'll find the frequencies we transmit on, a little bit of background about our club, and also you'll find a link that will take you to YouTube where we stream our nets that are held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. So with that, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic needs to make a contact on the 08 machine before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Hearing none. Checked in by the net also by video link is Ron, KD7QKU, Lee, N7KC, Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM. Is there anybody else who would like to check into the net this evening?
Sierra X-Ray Romeo, Joel and Roy, hoping to maybe check in with some video tonight.
With that, call again, please.
Kilo Juliet 7, Sierra X-Ray Romeo.
Let's go to Ron, KD7QKU.
Thanks, Dave. Good evening to Joel. We haven't heard from him for a long time. Let's see. Well, I missed last Wednesday, I guess. It was a sister-in-law's birthday. We had salmon for dinner, and, well, we had some kind of a cheesecake for the cake, I think. It was really rich, I know that. So anyway, we had a good time over there. Thursday, my son Mike came over and checked out my roof. When I had an electrician here, I have a metal fence strip that goes down the ridge of the roof, and it had come loose, and he went up and put a couple screws in it, but I wanted Mike to come over and check it all out, and which he did. He found there was a piece of roofing missing above the skylight, so he fixed that. And then there was a flashing that went over a pipe, vent pipe. Small vent pipe. It had rotted, so we went down to Home Depot and got another one of those and he replaced that. So I think I'm in pretty good shape for winter now. And so let's see. I'm just trying to think. Today I went over to the Ham Radio Club meeting for a few minutes. They get together every Saturday from 11 to 2. I didn't see Wade, so maybe Wade's off. to a concert someplace. He mentioned Las Vegas one time, so for all I know, he's down in Las Vegas. So anyway, that's about it over here. It was raining a few minutes ago. Temperature, I don't know what the temperature is. In the 50s, I think. So, KD7QKU, back to net.
KD7QKU, thanks for that. Let's go to Lee in Port Angeles, N7KC.
Okay, very good. This is Lee in 7KC in Port Angeles. Good evening, all. And I'm unacquainted with Joel, but good evening to Joel, too. Not a giant crowd tonight. I also missed last Wednesday. The second Wednesday night of the month is our local club meeting. And we've been getting bigger and bigger turnouts by every month. And we really had a pretty good one. It's in the social hall of the First United Methodist Church here at 7th and Laurel in downtown Port Angeles. And so there's not a specific charge, but they have a 50-50 drawing every month. And the half of the 50-50, half of it goes to the church for the use of the hall, and the other half goes to the winner. And I am pleased to announce that I was the winner last week, and came home with $54. Jim's giving me a thumbs up. Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, and then we had our club breakfast this morning, and also the eclipse was going on at the same time. And we were supposed to have rain here in Port Angeles, supposed to be socked in and raining hard. Well, we had almost a blue sky. So the eclipse was, so I got my binoculars out at the restaurant where we were, and everybody could see the projected image of the eclipse. I think it was 80% here, something like that. Anyway, it was still pretty bright. Even 20% of a full sun is a lot of light. Anyway, I don't really have anything else. Good to see you all tonight. And send it back to you, Dave. This is N7KC Lee in Port Angeles. Go ahead.
7KC, thanks for that. Let's go on to Richard, K7ITX in Kent.
All right, well, hi everybody. Great to see you, Joel. Long time, no see, but good to see you anyway. It's me and Mika right now in the radio room. So anyway, yeah, I did watch the Husky football game, and that was pretty exciting. The University of Washington beat the University of Oregon. That's always it's not quite like the Civil War, but pretty darn close anyway. So, gosh, just normal business here. Picked up my mom's ashes from the funeral home. That was somewhat emotional, but anyway, she's sitting next to my father-in-law's flag. He was a veteran Air Force, retired Air Force, so we have his flag on our mantle, and so Mom's sitting next to his flag right now for the time being. And and I got my stitches removed from my hand, so that was a relief. And now just trying to get things limbered up. Made upon recommendation of my surgeon, I made some recommendations with occupational therapist, or hand therapist for that matter. Not that I'm having any particular issues, but the sooner I can put my full strength on my palm, I'll be looking forward to that, because that's what I really need. I need both hands to get up and down off the floor in a, pretty smooth fashion. And I'm not very good one-handed, that's for sure. So anything they can do to help me get my strength back in my hand will be very much appreciated. So having just got out of pulmonary rehab, and now I'm going into hand therapy. So what do you know? So anyway, that's my report. K7ITX, back to net control.
Time for a quick ID. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. And good evening, special good evening to you, Joel. Also, I see Jessica's checking in there. So she'll be with us next round. Well, Ron, yeah, I remember you said something about your roof having those problems. It's good that you got those taken care of. And I got some rain here today as well, some pretty significant rain for a few minutes anyway. Right now it's just lightly raining outside. Let's see, cheesecake, my goodness. That makes me think of so many different things. And things that go good together, like, I don't know, maybe a burger and a milkshake, maybe pizza and beer, or cheesecake and coffee. Some things are just meant to be consumed together. Lee, blue sky. Well, good for watching the eclipse, but I know you're still short on rain up there. I don't know. Good luck. That's all I've got to say. Maybe this winter things will turn around a little bit and you'll finally get some precip. That would be good. Let's see, Dick. Yeah, the dogs beat the ducks. I watched that. I felt so sure that they were going to get that field goal at the end of the game, and it was going to go into overtime, but it didn't. So it would have been better, I think, if that had happened. But go an extra period there. But anyway, it didn't. So happy that the dogs won anyway. And you picked up Mom. Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to do that. I think that was the right thing to do. I know it makes you feel better that you did so. So now your brother can get it from you at his convenience. So that's okay. And back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO. Let's go to Joel, KJ7XSXR.
Hey, good evening there, Brady. It's been a long time since I've checked in. I was over at the Kitsap Hamfest, little swap meet, and picked up a couple pieces of equipment the guy said was for amateur television. And so with the recent addition of some antennas for satellite work, now I got a pair of 432 Yagis, and each one has about 20 elements on it of about 30 feet. So I was going to try to give it a try here. I don't know how all this works. Hang on one sec. Alright, so I plugged in the little amplifier thing he said to make it work, and I'm watching the stream on the website. So can someone tell me if I get a signal through, should I see it pop up on that on the live stream? So I'm not sure. I was going to be amazed if this worked for being such a cobbled together, minimal power situation kind of at the last minute, but I thought I'd give it a try. So I'm trying to swing the antenna back and forth and see if anything pops up on this live stream, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'll keep messing with it and see if I can make it work. But yeah, recently I got into playing with some of the amateur satellites, and so there's a pair of the 432 Yagis and then 2-meter Yagis up there as well, a pair of those, and each of those has 11 elements. So, excuse me, like 20 on those, and I think 40 on the 432. I got pictures on my QRZ page. They're big old suckers, so that's been a lot of fun. Talking to the birds and seeing how the satellites all work, and just been working here in the shack on improving some stuff. Picked up a Meritron amplifier today as well, so I've been playing around on HF today. So I've been very radioactive and always working on improving stuff here in the shack. And I'll be able to stick around here for a little bit, but got the Simplex net that started up here. I'm going to try checking into in a little bit. So I'll hang around for a bit, but I'm going to have to duck out at some point. And it's good to see everybody. Send it back to you, KJ7SXR.
Well, welcome to the net, Joel, and feel free to come back anytime you can hit the go button on your transmitter. Anyway, it's nice hearing from you after an absence. Well, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. It's 55 degrees here in Lake City, and I guess the weather and condition I can say is wet. But I did notice Lee did get a tremendous amount of liquid over the night. So I think my map showed about 3/4 of an inch of rain came in at Port Angeles. So hopefully that was there. It was good numbers to have. And I was getting back to Richard when he was saying he had his stitches out of his hand. I remember when I broke a wrist many years ago, and after the cast was off, I did a little rehab. But my excitement was when the day I picked up a hammer and started pounding a nail into some wood. So that gave me a feeling of accomplishment after having an arm-hand injury, so to speak. So that was pretty good. And Richard and all of the others that watched the UW game, that was a great game today. And also for Richard, having his mom back with him, I think that's kind of a neat thing to have. Have her close to your heart, you might say, at this point. So enjoy that. But this is Dave, KD7ZYM. So let's go up to Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU. Well, Joel, I don't know exactly where the repeater is and being on or off right now. I see the ID screen on. You can probably see it too. If you were able to get in, you would probably interrupt that, because anytime you can transmit into the repeater, it'll automatically turn itself on. So usually we have Wade is usually here, or James is usually here, and they can turn the transmitter on and off. They can put it in the automatic position. So you need to come back another night when one of them is here, and maybe they can turn it on and leave it on, and then we might see a little bit of snow. You might not have enough strength to activate it, is what I guess I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's see, I didn't make any notes during it. I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention, but I wasn't. So it's nice you got your mother home, I guess, Richard. My parents are buried over in eastern Washington, in Kennewick, and I never get over to see their graves. Probably never go over there again. Joanne's parents are buried in Kent, so we could, or do once in a while, go over there. So let's see, what else is going on? I just about said everything. I don't have a whole lot to say. I guess I told you I had an ulcer, and I was taking some medication to heal that up, and it's getting a little bit better. Maybe I didn't tell you that. Did I tell you that? Yeah, everybody's saying I did. Okay. So I actually called my doctor, primary care doctor, on Monday, and tried to get in, and they really didn't have any openings. So I talked to the nurse, and she talked to the doctor, and they decided I should go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room on Monday afternoon, right after I talked to them, and spent a couple hours up there. And they gave me a prescription for 2 medications. Well, they did a CT scan, and of course they check your heart. They want to make sure it's not your heart. Take some blood. But anyway, they did a CT scan to see if I had any mass or anything in there, and I didn't have. So they gave me some medication that coats the ulcer, and then they gave me some medication that blocks the acid in your stomach. The pill that coats the ulcer is about as big as the end of your finger, and I tried to swallow the first one, and it's designed to stick to mucous membranes. Maybe, did I tell you all this? Okay, so it's stuck in the back of my throat, and I couldn't get it loose. So I pretty much just had to gargle and swallow and drink water until it finally kind of dissolved. So after that, I cut them in half. We have a thing to cut pills up, and I swallowed them in pieces, and I was a little more careful to make sure that I had a mouthful of liquid when I tried to gulp the thing down. So it's worked pretty good. It coats your stomach, so I've been feeling much, much better than I was last week and over the weekend. So anyway, hopefully one of these days I'll be healed up again. So that's all the big excitement over here. Other than grocery shopping. I could tell you the story about getting some medication for my eye. You know, I had eye surgery, had a cataract taken out, and then had a little difficulty with that, so I'm still putting drops in that. So I have to put these 2 different kinds of drops for 3 more weeks, and it seemed like I had everything happen at the same time. So anyway, the Walgreens over here next to me, they couldn't seemingly get the eye drops. I tried to get them on Monday and Tuesday. They were going to order them. They were going to come in the next day, and that went on and on. So finally I went over there yesterday, and they still didn't have them. They said, well, the warehouse didn't have them, or wasn't stocking anymore or something. Well, I said, I got to have them. So they called around some other Walgreens. They didn't seem to have any either. So then I asked them about Rite Aid up the street. So they kind of made an ugly face. I said, hey, look, I got to have them. You know, I really need them. You know, they're prescribed by my doctor. He had surgery, and he wants them in there for 3 more weeks. So they said, okay. So they called Rite Aid right up the street. Well, lo and behold, Rite Aid had it. So they said, okay, well, we'll send your prescription over to Rite Aid. So I went over to Rite Aid. Rite Aid didn't hardly know anything about it. They hadn't forwarded the prescription. So Rite Aid had to try to call them. They wouldn't answer their phone. Oh, I don't know, it was a mess. But after I sat there for an hour, Rite Aid got it, and they gave me the medication, and so then I'm all good to go. Seems like that's been the story of my life here lately. Every time I need something, the drugstore either doesn't have it, or I have to help them find it. All right, back to net. But my eye is doing really good, so back to net, KD7Q. And I don't know what happened to Jessica. I guess she got mad and went home.
QKU, thanks. Well, let's see if Jessica's on the hook. KF7UHK.
The hook. My Windows 7 machine overheated because whenever I use video on it, it's usually when I need my little cooler, my external computer cooler. I'll tell you, this Windows 7 machine is like an old-fashioned treadle sewing machine. It's hard to keep going. Today it was working for a little while till it overheated. You can hear my cycling fan in the background back here. Ron, and your pills. You know, I get Eliquis. I take a couple of those a day, and which means I got to go into the pharmacy about once a month to go get a refill. And those are the hardest things to have, get a full prescription. This last time I had to be sent over to Walgreens to go get it, and luckily they had them. Normally I go to Bartell's, and it kind of irks me because these are things that doctor says, you're not going to do well if you don't have these pills. You need to get these pills, and then I can't get them, and so that just irks the heck out of me. Let's see. Today we went to Total Wine and More. I used to not be any kind of a drinker. I like a really sweet drink, maybe a strawberry daiquiri sometimes or something. But whenever I go to Total Wine and More with Sylvia, I always come home with a whole bunch of different things to try, and I actually like, and they give you little samples at this one spot in the store, and usually they're things that I wouldn't think I'd like, and then I try them and go, oh, that's pretty good. So we got one that tastes a little bit like Christmas, a little cinnamony, sweet, with a little kick to it. So I got a bottle of this stuff. I don't remember what it was called, but it was really tasty. It was some kind of whiskey. And then I also brought home a Jack Daniel's pecan cake from Total Wine and More. And it used to be when they had the state stores where you'd buy your alcohol from. At Christmas time, you'd find these kind of things like cookies or things filled with chocolates filled with alcohol, or these little cakes you'd buy and soaked in alcohol. And so I got one of these, and we were going to enjoy that tonight. We haven't yet, but we're going to. But that's always fun. Let's see. Other than that, I think I'll pass it back. It's it looks like winter out there, or certainly late fall. I missed the eclipse completely. I thought it was going to be later in the afternoon, and I got out there with my camera because my video camera takes a pretty good shot of the sun because I have a filter for it. But I missed it completely, so I was disappointed, and that's just how it goes. This is KM7 UHK.
UHK, let's go to Lee, M7KC in Port Angeles.
Lee, 7KC, Port Angeles. Well, okay, Jessica, it was good to hear you. I couldn't see you, but it was good to hear you. And I remember how that computer needs to have an external fan blowing on it. That's been an ongoing problem for a while. While Joel was talking, I went over to QRZ, and yes, I remember meeting him a long time ago. I recognized the solar or whatever it was installation there, and he has got quite a tower set up and an antenna farm and whatnot. That was very impressive. Pretty serious. Gosh, I don't know what else. Yeah, Dave, we haven't gotten 3/4 of an inch of rain here, I'll tell you that. I was out to get the mail a little while ago, and it hasn't done anything yet. So, I don't know. The dryness continues. We are up to a 1/2 inch this month, and if the average were to hold for this month, we'd get about 3 inches by the end of the month. So we'll see what happens. But so far, it's been really pretty light. Trying to think of anything else of interest I can pass along. I did my first TIG welding ever since I came over here. A radio friend of mine was rebuilding a log splitter, and the bracket that held the hydraulic pump up to the engine, he had to replace the engine. It had a cracked well, it was the aluminum up around the cylinder, so there wasn't any way to fix it. He got a Harbor Freight Predator, which an exact fit. The bolts dropped right into the frame of the log splitter, and in addition, the bracket for the hydraulic bolted right up to it without any hitch. But anyway, there had been some vibration, and it had broken it. Oh my, it wasn't a quarter inch. Yeah, I'd say 3/16. And there had been vibration, and it actually fractured that steel. Somebody had tried to fix it before, but the welding was pathetic. So anyway, we ground off some of the old stuff and put a good, we ground a V into it and filled it. So it looks pretty good. I think it'll probably last. I just got my timer expired. Oh, I was going to say before I go, the Joel was on 110, so he was coming out of Tiger. I could not hear him on the Echolink, but so I turned on 14708, 110, and by golly, that thing is kicking up to about an S4 or 5 here tonight. But there was some multipath on Joel, so I couldn't catch what he was saying, but the repeater from Tiger had a pretty strong signal here. So anyway, back to you, Dave. This is S7KC, Lee in Port Angeles.
N7KC, thanks for that report. And for an ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Well, let's go to Richard, K7ITX, K7ITY.
All right. Well, yeah, Joel, if you're still listening, I don't see any more, but yeah, generally, like Ron was saying, it's James and Wade seem to have the best control over the video transmitter and switching it on and off and that sort of thing. Anyway, just you got our email, and so Joel, just send us an email when you think you're going to be around, and we'll try to make sure that one or two or whoever is around to help out, or we can try to have you do testing anytime you're available and they're available, and we'll get people together for that. Well, yeah, Ron, that's too bad about the fiasco with the drugs. Boy, I've been through that rigmarole a time or two, and just recently, I generally get my prescriptions refilled by online. The drugstore or whoever has all my drugs, and press a button and get it prescribed. Well, there were two that I wanted to get refilled. So yeah, you can pick them up tomorrow. So I go, well, I can pick up one, but I have to wait till the 17th Tuesday for the other. So, okay, well, so I try to save a trip. Well, it didn't work. So it's just how it goes sometimes. I know what you're talking about exactly. So anyway, other than that, my life has been pretty much just confined to just exercise, and not that much. To be honest with you, I don't have a treadmill here, but the treadmill is less than a mile down the street. So I go to a place called Anytime Fitness and get on the treadmill, and it seems to it helps a lot, and I just need to kind of keep building upon each session, try to do a little better. I have my setbacks, but it's just called survival, and so I'm up to it, I guess. So I don't know. God, I'm kind of like everyone else, really. Not that much to talk about, other than, well, there's a lot to talk about you guys. James, for example. I'm the one that had the hot water tank issues, seemed like about 2 or 3 months ago, and it leaked. It's in the garage, and the garage slopes to the outside, and the leak was just like a drip, hardly anything, and so, I got a new hot water tank before it flooded, the garage, and then even then it wouldn't have been that big of a disaster. Not like it's like a lot of people, and like in James' case, if it's inside, the living quarters, no, it's a disaster. And then especially if you're in any kind of a condominium or duplex, and you've got neighbors that you're going to flood out right along with you. No, thank you. So my heart is with James right now. Poor soul. I would not want to be in his shoes. So, all right. Well, we'll see what else conjures up in the next 30 minutes. K7ITX back to net control.
ITX, let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, let's see. Yeah, Joel said that he was going to go check in on some simplex net, so he disappeared. So he's not getting us from now. Let's see. Ron, I wonder if maybe you could crush the pill somehow. I think that might be the easy thing to do. I have to admit myself, I took some pills and I cut them in half, and then I cut the halves in half, and then you still wind up with these jagged edges, plus a couple of little tiny pieces laying around. So I found it's easier to beat them to death, beat them into submission, and then drink them down with something. Sorry about that. And yeah, getting pills nowadays, I think the insurance companies just don't want to give out anything even a day sooner than they absolutely have to. I have tried on a number of occasions to go and pick up several prescriptions at once. My wife and I have both tried to do that, and well, we can give you this one, but you're going to have to wait 2 or 3 days for this one. So, I don't know. There's got to be a better way, but whatever. We do what we can. And let's see, Jessica. Yeah, I figured your computer just needed a break to cool down there. And your medicine that seems to be in short supply, I wonder, is that one of those things that can be used as a weight loss drug? They say that some of those are in very short supply now, so the people who need them to keep alive can't get them because other people are trying to use them to lose weight. I don't know. It's a real bummer when you have to go to different pharmacies to try to get what you need. And let's see here. Jack Daniels. Huh. Okay. Now, I used to go to some restaurant. I'm not sure which one it was. Maybe TGI Fridays. Anyway, they had different entrees prepared in a Jack Daniels flavored sauce, and those were sure good. But there aren't any of those restaurants anywhere close to where I live, so I haven't had those in a decade or so. I should try to look up where the closest one is and maybe make a special trip sometime. Yeah, let's see, the eclipse. Well, I was able to peek at it a little bit. the sun was in and out of the clouds by my house, but I had the glasses from the last eclipse, which we had. I don't remember what year that was, but so my wife and I were looking at that, and we got to see a good crescent-shaped sun. That was pretty cool. Also, the Weather Channel did a special today on television about the eclipse, so we recorded it, but we have not yet had a chance to watch it. My wife and I have both been busy all day, but so we'll probably save that to watch sometime tomorrow afternoon or something. Let's see. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO, thanks for that. This is Dave, KD7CYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society on the 08 machine. Well, talk about using alcohol for cooking. Gosh, about 3 Thanksgivings ago, I soaked a turkey in bourbon and overnight, a mixture with some spices, and then proceeded to smoke the turkey. And you did have the flavor of the bourbon, but I think in my lesson I learned, it would be much better to drink the bourbon and forget putting it into the bird. So, much better use of the bourbon. And then for the holidays, oh gosh, my brother always made rum balls. Oh my gosh. You have one, I want another, and then another. And after about 6 rum balls, you say, oh my, I'm in happy land. So, I don't know how much rum he got into those, but boy, they were really moist in the center. I always enjoyed those. But with that, let's go back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Thanks, Dave. KD7QKU here again. Well, I didn't take too many notes, but I did write down a couple of things I might want to talk about. I have had 3/800ths of an inch of rain today, so it's rained quite a bit here today. And 10 meters has been open. I suppose all the meters are open. My friend called me from Boise yesterday, I think, said, have you got your radio on? And I said, no. He said, well, 10 meters is wide open. And I went in and turned it on, and it was. But I didn't have time to sit there and listen and try to talk to somebody. And let's see. I wrote down here mattresses. Joanne wants a new mattress. And I don't know. I'm wondering, does any of you guys have the new foam mattresses? You know, have you tried that? We have the old style mattress. When Mike was here, he was saying that they had a mattress. It was called Needle and Tough or something like that. It's a foam mattress. They've had it about 10 years. They just loved it. And then Joanne's niece, Lisa, and her husband Matt, they have one, I think it's called Avocado or something. And it's a foam, and they just love it. So I don't know. Just wondered if anybody else. So, of course, we have a full-size bed, and she wants a queen-size bed. So that means that the inner springs, or whatever you want to call them, I can't think of what you call it, that's underneath the mattress, wouldn't fit. So we'd have to get something different. I was looking around on the internet. They sell just frames that have slats on them. You just put those foam mattresses on top. So I was just wondering if anybody had any experience with that, how it works. So I will just turn it back to Ned and see if I get any comments on mattresses. So back to that, KD7QKU.
QKU, let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK. UHK. N7KC.
Okay, very good. N7KC, Lee here in Port Angeles. Well, I'm out of ammo. I don't have anything else to say. So, Dave, I'll just send it back to you and just, we're down to just 15 minutes left, so somebody else take it. It's N7KC, Lee in Port Angeles. Go ahead, Dave.
N7KC. Let's go to Richard K7ITX, who's always full of words.
Yeah, you're right about that, Dave. Yes, because I did realize that I did want to mention something. As I've talked about Juan Brown on the Blancario channel, he's not retired. He's an active airline pilot, and he's always got some very interesting stories to tell, and they're always, incident related. And I guess, and as we talked about before, I think it's important that airline pilots share different incidents and how they occur and how they're resolved, and all those sorts of things. In general, just for the general knowledge in the public interest. Well, the one that he talked about really caught my eye was this, just a couple weeks ago, a FedEx 757 had I guess you'd call it a gear up landing in Chattanooga. And boy, oh boy, I really learned a lot from him on that whole thing. Well, to start with, this might have been the only gear up landing with a 757. He couldn't think of any, and he didn't know of any. It's pretty reliable, and the systems are so redundant, particularly this, when it comes to, hydraulic failure. It was evidently there's 3 hydraulic systems, and it was the left side that controls the left landing gears and flaps and things of that nature. And so due to the fact that they never did get the gear down on the left side, evidently the trapped residual fluid that's always supposed to be there just for emergency pump situations evidently wasn't there. Well, we don't know. We'll find out what happened. But boy, oh boy, to hear his explanation, he had 2 things going in his presentation. We had the air traffic control and the pilot dialogue recorded, so that was extremely interesting. And along with that, he had a flight aware sort of diagram of the actual runway and the traffic or the pattern that the 757 took during all this. And I think the thing that really kind of made it more urgent and interesting was the fact that he only had 1.5 hours of fuel. It was just supposed to be a short trip from Chattanooga to Memphis, maybe is the headquarters for FedEx. I can't remember. Anyway, it was just extraordinary to kind of fall along the low pass, because he had all these different ways to lower the landing gear, but of course he can't see it himself, and maybe his instruments, because of the failure that he was experiencing, he just didn't know, so he took real low pass over the airport, and and it wasn't down. So one thing that Juan Brown pointed out, and we saw was how pilots are very reluctant. They're very reluctant to declare an emergency. And finally, after the air traffic control asked him if this was an emergency a couple of times, and he just said negative, or I can't remember how it was. Finally, the air traffic control, you could just see on the little air traffic control display where boink, little red emergency thing came on. The air traffic control did it all by themselves. They just declared an emergency, and then we got to hear the conversation between him and air traffic control and the airport fire department. And the pilot was caught a little bit off guard how with the lack of the left side landing gear, his airspeed was way too fast for his first approach, and so he took another stab at it from a much longer distance and was able to slow the plane down enough. And it was just a textbook landing. I mean, it was just, it's pretty very normal, and it's just the fact that eventually there was no left side landing gear, and of course the plane skidded somewhat out of control with all the weight bearing on the left side on the engine cowling. But just extremely interesting presentation. It's on YouTube. I've talked about him 2 or 3 times, and I swear to God, I just am learning so much. Not that I'll ever fly a plane, but man, it's just so extremely interesting. So there's my story. K7ITX, back to net control.
ITX, wheels up. Let's move on to James. Let's move on to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Let's see. Well, Ron, yeah, I've got some information about the mattresses and that. Let me get back with Dick first, and we can probably talk about that in a few minutes. Yeah, I did not have an opportunity to see Juan's video on that, and I'm not familiar with that aircraft, but I know that he is, so I don't know. I did hear that that particular aircraft went around and someone was looking to see if the gear was down. I don't remember where they were going exactly, but it's, how do I want to phrase this tactfully? The companies do not give us an overabundance of fuel. There are regulatory requirements depending in part upon the weather, and so they give us enough to go from point A to point B and thereafter for a period of time, or to point B and then to proceed to our alternate, and so it's not like we have a whole lot of fuel usually to troubleshoot. It seems to me that they tried to lower the gear, and that's when they discovered it wasn't coming down. So I don't know how much troubleshooting they actually did or had an opportunity to do. I would be interested to find out what they discovered with that particular airplane, but I am constantly amazed at all of the things that go just right with all of these flights. Everyone has to be in the right place at the right time. Passengers, baggage, refuelers, catering, mechanics need to go in and out, aircraft cleaners need to go in and out. On the international flights, We need security teams to go through and inspect the cabin and everything, make sure no one left something undesirable behind. And it just amazes me all the time. There are times that you would definitely want a little more fuel, but the problem is fuel is heavy. It's weight, and so you have to burn more fuel if you're carrying more fuel. So the companies, I guarantee there's some accountant somewhere that's figuring out, yeah, right down to the last ounce of fuel, that, yeah, we need this much, and so, oh well. And I saw some video on television about that landing as well. I'm glad it worked out okay. The guys bailed out using a slide out of the forward door 1 left. So that was good. They didn't have to jump out the windows or anything. I think there were only 3 on board, if I remember correctly. So I don't know. I'm glad nothing like that ever happened to me. I'll say that. And it's not like they get any extra pay or anything. All they do is get extra. Someone scrutinizes them extra closely, and I guarantee all of them afterwards had to go take a drug test and an alcohol test. That's the way the system works. So glad it turned out okay, except for the airplane. Oh well. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO, very interesting. Seems like all industries have bean counters in them. People that decide what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. When we had in television, bean counters came in. News cars were assigned to photographers so we could take the cars home and respond 724. Then the bean counters came in and said, why don't we leave the cars at the station? Then the photographers could come in and pick up the cars and then go out on a breaking story. Well, that didn't work for about 3 days, and nobody was able to respond to emergency calls and breaking news stories from their home. So much for the bean counters for that. Oh my. So with that, I'm going to take it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, KD7QKU here. Well, I don't have very much to add to that. I'm glad that they all survived that little hard landing, maybe you'd call it. So a friend of mine sent me something on Facebook I thought was kind of cute. It says, now I lay me down to sleep. Beside my bed a gun I keep. If I should wake and you're inside, the coroner's van will be your last ride. I thought that was kind of cute. All right, back to net KD7QKU.
QKU, let's try Jessica again. KF7UHK.
Never, this is Jessica, KF7UHK. Now, I know I've told the story before, but it was just, to me, it just made me cackle. So we were coming back from somewhere. I think we were coming back from New Mexico, and we came into our SeaTac, and it was foggy on the ground, and so we started doing the holding pattern, and the pilot came on and told us, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some fog out there, so we're just gonna make a couple of loops until we decided it's clear enough to make our entrance into SeaTac. So sit back, everything's great. We have at least a half hour's worth of fuel, and we're gonna be just fine. If that doesn't work out, then we might go up to somewhere like Paintfield and Everett. And I'm thinking, half hour? That's really cutting it close. I'm thinking, gosh, I hope that fog clears. And it did clear, and we landed in SeaTac, and everything was just fine. But it was the way he was, very, oh, no big deal. We got a half hour's left of fuel, and everything's gonna be fantastic. So sit back and enjoy the ride, and we kept on looking out the window and seeing the same ball field down below us, and that's where we realized, oh, we're going around in circles. And K7LWA is no longer with us. He had picked up on Air Alert or that program you can see airplanes path on, and he sent it to me and showed me that we had done this loop a couple of times, and that was I still have it somewhere on my computer that Air Alert showing our airplane landing. Very cool. Okay, I gotta pass it back. KF7, HK.
UHK, thanks for that, and it's time to close up the net. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions with a specific tone of 103.5. So with that, this is Dave on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, signing off the net at 9:01. Good evening, all.
KC disconnected.